Hartmann Program. Staying with us in studio, Michael Lighty with National Nurses United. We are going to go to a call. Let's see if we got Bill. Bill in Washington State. You're on the line with me and Michael Lighty.
Hello, Mr. Lawson. It's good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you, Bill.
And the nurse, what was your name?
Michael. Bill, how are you?
Michael. Hey, very well, thank you. Yeah, I was going to talk about setting up a national website for registered voters, but since I'm talking to a union nurse, that's even better. I mean, the simple answer is cut out the prescription advertising on television and shift that proven amount of advertising budget right into prescription reductions and nurses' pay and machinery that relieves your back so you don't all come out crippled of your nursing career. Yeah,
well, Bill, somebody who knows the day-to-day reality of nurses, that's great.
I have a sister that's a nurse and one that's a pharmacist. So, yeah, and I've heard, you guys, yeah, you're the workhorses. The doctors are kind of a bunch of Donald Trumps, and then you got the nurses doing the
Well,
work.
you said that, not me.
Well, no, I don't mean that across the board. That's kind of cruel, actually.
But Bill, I think you're just on the point on the prescription drugs. I agree with you. We got to get rid of direct-to-consumer marketing, but I just will say that that's not nearly enough. That is a very small step in the right direction. And again, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not going to go. We have to remember what we're looking for. And when it comes to pharmaceutical drugs, we need to radically revision the entire concept of how we do it. Right. These patent-granted monopolies to the most profitable industry in the world, the pharmaceutical industries, all they're doing is they're taking publicly funded patents, right? We pay for it. We give it to them. Then they charge us the highest prices in the world. And what it means is it's a tax on people who need those drugs. Right. The high prices. So a person who needs chemotherapy is taxed by the high price of chemotherapy. It is just a fundamentally wrong way of doing this. And we need a much more public system. We need a radical revisioning of the entire pharmaceutical industry. That was a statement kind of question.
Well, I agree with you, obviously. And you're right. Because they're such a driver of increasing costs, because they're essentially another publicly subsidized industry that then generates profits for Wall Street, we have to take that public resource back. And the notion that they spend more money, as you know, on marketing than they do on research, that the basic research is actually done by the government institutes, and the research they do is basically, let's change a molecule and repatent the thing so we can have another 20 years of profit. So all that has to be fundamentally changed. It's not enough to simply reform the FDA. You have to reform fundamentally the crony capitalist relationship between pharma and the government.
Exactly.
And the corruption of that. I would say, to Bill's point, though, we dealt with Prop 61 in California, which the industry ended up spending
about 20 seconds.
But anyway, advertising drives editorial policy to some extent. So that is a factor against us politically.
Definitely is. And we need to take on big pharma, just like big hospital and big insurance, because they're all Wall Street. You know, this moment, we agree, and I love working with the nurses.
We love working with you, Alex.
It's really fun because I usually, like, if there's an idea, it's like, oh, well, we should do something on Medicare. And I'm like, well, I should call Michael. Because as soon as Social Security works and the nurses are on it, I know that no one's going to be like, well, maybe a public-private path is the way to go, right? Or maybe the pharmaceutical industry isn't that bad.
That's right.
And
just transparency, right?
Exactly, just more transparency, and that fundamentally the fight is for justice, right. And that is at the base of all of this. And it's heartening when you are in these big crowds of people and you realize, oh man, it's not just me. I'm not the only one who thinks this. And the corporate media, the propagandists of the billionaires, they want to split us up. They want us to feel alone. They don't want us to understand that there are millions of people around this country who believe what we believe that justice is the path forward, believe that the billionaires on Wall Street need to be held to account, and that it is possible, that we have the power. Right. And so one of the things that I know you're working on that really I think is incredibly important, I went last year, is the People's Summit. So it's coming up in Chicago, and it's just a physical gathering space to see and to understand and to get organized, which I always call the most radical act. But I have two superlatives. I also say the most radical act you can take is self-care, right. And the most radical act you can take is get organized. Sometimes it's the same thing.
That's
Knowing that you're not alone is actually self-care. So just tell us about the People's Summit, what you're working on there, how people can get involved.
Well, the People's Summit is an extraordinary event because it is not just a gathering where you're going to learn techniques. So I'm not just going to learn how to write an email that will be clickbait. I'm actually going to just understand political ideology and the difference between, say, what we call neoliberalism and a vision of society that's based on multiracial economic justice. And that difference of vision is just, to your point, Alex, what are we fighting for? If we are fighting to preserve the status quo or restore the status quo, that's what got us here, is the status quo. So the only way to get out of where we are is to go forward with an alternative vision. We often hear about democratic values, but we never hear what they are. But we're very clear in the summit what those are: justice, solidarity, equality, and action. So that's what the summit provides. Yeah, there are going to be well-known celebrities who are going to be there, and that will be a way to understand activism and also inspire people, because they like well-known people, who agree with them. But really the heart of it is political education, strategies at a regional level, educating elected officials who come there with the politics, not just techniques. And that's really what we bring to it. We're going to do the People Speak, which is a dramatic reading of from the Howard Zinn book on the people's history of the United States. Really powerful stuff. And so we have that kind of also component to it, the cultural component. It's huge social media, a podcast row, lots of media attention there. Free Speech TV is participating. So we're very excited about all of that. But the heart of it is just what you say. How do we describe our vision? How do we organize for our vision? And how do we get beyond silos?
Is it peoplesummit.org?
It's peoplesummit.org. And the key component of it is it's like a political party where people who find themselves with similar politics but working on different issues come together and break out those silos.
Michael Lighty, National Nurses United. Check it out, peoplesummit.org. Get organized, get involved. It's up to us.